What's going on, beautiful people of YouTube? Thanks for stopping by my channel. My name is James. This is Home Remedy Fitness. We have a good one in the books today. It's going to be 30 minutes in entirety, working with unilateral loading. So one kettlebell, I use a 45 and a 65. So find one that is moderately heavy for us, and then one that's a little bit lighter. We can get those reps at a reasonable rate and get it going. So the breakdown for this workout, the first grouping is going to be kind of on the run. So that rest period is going to be in between our sets, but we are going to get this working set just kind of back to back. Second one's going to be broken down a little bit more. It's going to be more of a strength-based and stability type of exercise. So you're going to have those set rest periods in between, and then moving back to that same type of programming at the end. So we're keeping that heart rate up, focusing on some rotational work, anti-rotation, pushing, pulling, hitting all the movement patterns, all the muscle groups. So if this is your first time visiting and some of these exercises may be catching your eye, you go ahead, jump to the back. We'll have videos dissecting all the exercises. If you are returning, appreciate the support. Thanks for stopping by once again. So grab your water bottles, grab your mat, grab those weights that you're going to work with for this workout. Let's hit the ground running. Let's put in that work. Let's get better today. And we'll see you on the other side.
Inside the rabbit hole, set me free from you. Somebody please keep me from twisted, keep me from dizzy, keep me from twisted, keep me from somebody please keep me from twisted, keep me from dizzy, keep me from twisted. Somebody please help me. Keep me from twisted, keep me from dizzy, keep me from twisted, keep me from somebody. Keep me from twisted. You gotta get up every morning.
Great job, people. That was good. We got some good rotational work today. Definitely some conditioning work, that endurance for the upper body, getting some pulling, a lot of stability with that overhead lunge pattern. Hopefully you went a little bit heavier on that last set like I did. Within reason, within your fitness level, always want to maintain that nice neutral spine. Nobody's getting hurt because we need you back next week for that workout coming up. So as always, appreciate the support, appreciate the follows, just rocking with me. So really motivates me to keep going, keep this thing moving. If there's anything that you dislike, please let me know. I take everything into consideration. I would love to cater this channel to you. If you like the dumbbells better, if you like the kettlebells better, if you don't like me talking, try to minimize that. And if you don't say nothing, then I'm assuming that you like what I'm doing. So that's awesome too. Send this to somebody that you think would get whooped by it. I'm drenched. They might need a good workout as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll keep doing the thing. Appreciate the support. See you all next week. Bye-bye. Out a great movement here if we are trying to work in that rotational plane, work that posterior chain as well. So we're getting the hamstrings, getting the glutes, getting some thoracic mobility as we rotate. We're looking at a B stance, ipsilateral crossbody RDL. So we're going to situate ourselves in a B stance. If you're not familiar, it's just a staggered stance. So that rear foot, the front toe is going to be in line with the front heel. So kind of offset, shoulder width apart. We're still going to have a soft bend in the knees, just moving through some deadlift mechanics. So let's elevate that rear heel. That's almost acting as a kickstand. So we're just primarily loading up that front leg, ipsilateral meaning same side. So let's just situate ourselves maybe on the left side, left leg in front, right leg behind. Left leg is going to be the working side. So let's hold that kettlebell in our left arm. So as we rotate, we're going to go across body, and we're almost going to put that kettlebell down where our right foot would be in a regular stance. So we're hinging, we're rotating. A lot of the movement is going to be coming from that thoracic spine. We don't want to be opening up the hips and really rotating too much. So as we descend into that RDL deadlift positioning, we're going to hinge at the hips. So the glutes are going back. We're not bending the knees too much. It's going to be a hip dominant movement. As we rotate, we're going to feel a big stretch on that left abductor. So that left glute med is going to light up. That glute max is obviously going to light up as well from the hinge. And we're going to go across. Should feel a stretch in that left lat as well. And as we go across, driving into that front heel to bring us back into that start position. Things that we're looking for, we don't want our shoulders protracting like crazy. So don't let that kettlebell take you for a ride. I know the weight is there, so really focus on packing those shoulders down, engage our lats. As we rotate, we're getting a stretch, but we're not stretching the arm out. You know, we're not trying to reach too much. We're just getting a little bit of rotation, feeling that stretch, and then we're coming back to center. What I said by not opening up the hips, as we go down, we want to keep our lower half as neutral as we can. So still facing ahead. We don't want to sway out and let that left glute shoot out to the side. We don't want our right knee kind of caving in or, you know, poking out towards that rotation. So the whole time just trying to stay as neutral as we can. Just trying to inhibit a little bit more mobility and rotation into that RDL. So really great. It's going to be lighting up your obliques with the unilateral load. We don't want to be caving in at all. Like I said, you don't want to be protracting. Just a different variation of the RDL. Just putting a little bit more on the obliques, a little bit more stretch on that working side. Lighten up your core to stabilize. Big stretch. Coming back to center. This is a B stance, ipsilateral crossbody RDL. Great variation to a rowing pattern. I'm sure we've done bent over rows before, gorilla rows, chest supported, seated, standing, you name it. The chainsaw row is just going to place a little bit more strain on that working side. So we're going to be rowing ipsilaterally. So let's put ourselves, it's not a B stance, it's not a lunge pattern, but it's going to be a staggered stance, a little bit longer than a B stance, a little bit shorter than a lunge pattern. So find that positioning for us, find that good distance. We don't want to be too wide with our foot base and have like a saddle stance. So shoulder width apart, recline that right leg if we're working on our left side. Kettlebell is going to be on our left side. So we're going to feel that weight in our glute. That's going to be kind of our stable foundation on that side. So really dig into that heel, hinge a little bit at our hips, let that chest fall down just a little bit. And then as we row, digging hard into that elbow, bringing that kettlebell up into our back pocket. Big squeeze of the lats, getting the rhomboids, getting some biceps involved. Still keeping that hinge pattern, really loading up that side. So we are looking for our core to engage, right? We want to stabilize. A couple things that we're being mindful of here. If we are maybe too heavy on the kettlebell, or maybe we start fatiguing as the set goes on, we may do some of this action. We may have the traps get involved to try and help us row. We're going to try and avoid that, so really pack that shoulder down, get those lower traps involved, and just rowing nice and sound. So staying nice and uniform, shoulders facing ahead, hips facing ahead. If you got headlights on either one of those joints, we're just lighting up that floor ahead of us, lighting up that wall ahead of us. Stay nice and neutral. Big strong rowing pattern. This is a chainsaw row. Push-ups. Different variation to a regular floor push-up. We're involving a kettlebell now. A little bit of plyometric action. We're gonna try and get more explosive, more power involved, more range of motion for that shoulder capsule, bigger stretch on that pec as we go about. So let's situate ourselves. Maybe our right hand is gonna be on the kettlebell. So our right hand is gonna be elevated, left arm on the ground. Feet are gonna be a little bit more than shoulder width apart, a little wider than what you would typically do for a push-up. As we are getting that power, we want more of a sound foundation when we elevate ourselves. Find a range of motion that works for us, pressing as hard as we can into that kettlebell, and now we're trying to get a little bit of separation from our left hand and the ground. So that's where the power comes in. Trying to elevate ourselves, hold it for a 1 Mississippi. What that is going to be doing is really challenging our core to stabilize. We don't want our hips wavering, we don't want our shoulders going all over the place, and then a lot of that shoulder stability on kettlebell side. So as you press up, really drive hard into that kettlebell, contract that shoulder as much as you can, stabilize, give it a 1 count, squeeze those glutes, make sure everything is nice in alignment, and then eccentrically we're going to catch ourselves back into that pressing portion of the lift. So just be mindful here as we go into that press, being that it is a larger range of motion, try not to let that shoulder roll forward. So retract that scapula. We don't want to compromise our shoulder and have it collapse on us as we go. So if you are lacking that range of motion to really fully reach that depth down there at the bottom, just call it quits a little bit before you start feeling that anterior rotation. Find that depth that works for you, explode up, squeeze the glutes, give it that 1 count, really feel it, get that good contraction at the top, and just repeat the process. This is the kettlebell plyo push-up. Fun little cluster here for us. So this is going to be involving some strength, some power, stability, core, glutes, pulling, you name it. Definitely a full body movement. This is a single arm clean to a thruster to a reverse lunge to an overhead windmill. So a lot of movements here for us. What we're going to start off with here, we're going to crowd that kettlebell to have about shoulder width apart, slight bend in the knees, hips are going to go back. Pick whatever arm that you want to work with. Right here, maybe we'll go with our right arm. So we're going to clean ourselves up, we're going to extend, squeeze the glutes, shoot those hips forward, bring that kettlebell up into a front rack position. From there, moving into our thruster. So it'll just be a single side squat. On the way up, use that momentum from that squat pattern, use your legs, get that kettlebell up overhead. Big explosion there. We're watching for our ribs to flare up. So when we're up overhead, we want to squeeze our glutes, make sure our spine is nice and in neutral alignment. Keep it up there, reaching for the sky, packing that shoulder down, not letting that kettlebell get away from us. We're now moving into a reverse lunge. So if it's on our right side, let's step back with our left leg. What we're looking for here with our reverse lunge, we want the 90-90 for our knees. So the rear leg, you want that knee underneath your hip, and then that shin is going to be parallel to the ground. The front leg, 90 degrees at the hip, and then 90 degrees at the knee. So we have a nice vertical shin. The knee is not shooting ahead. The knee is not caving inwards on us. Nice and sound, maintaining that upright posture with the kettlebell. And then as we move down into that windmill, this is really going to be stretching out our adductors, testing our hip mobility, testing our thoracic mobility as we rotate. You can even put a hand down to the ground, get that rotation. If you have the mobility for it, bring your forearm down. Try and bring that chest as parallel to the ground as we can. So we're really exploring our mobility in our hips as we go down there. Keep an eye on that kettlebell, make sure it's not getting away from you. And then we're gonna move back into that reverse lunge, stepping forward, bringing down that kettlebell back to the ground. Full body complex, take it slow, keep an eye on that kettlebell, make sure it doesn't wave around, that shoulder's definitely in a compromised position as you're going about it. Return it back to the ground, and we're switching it. So you got a clean, you got a thruster, you got a reverse lunge, and a windmill. It's a fun one, take it slow, you'll feel it. Great power movement here for us. It's going to generate a little bit of conditioning for our upper body. We're getting some pulling, some hip activations. We're getting our glutes, unilateral loading. So we're watching our core, make sure it's not wavering, maintaining a nice neutral spine as we go about this. It is a alternating B stance swing high pull. So let's set ourselves up in that B stance, staggered stance, rear toes in line with the front heel, shoulder width apart, soft bend in the knees, hips are going back. Start off that kettlebell maybe 5-6 inches ahead of us. So on that initial swing, when we start pulling it towards our backside, we got that momentum right off the jump. Hip hinge, pulling it back. When it reaches that terminal point in the back, squeeze those glutes, shoot those hips forward, getting a big pull with that arm. We're extending, we're generating that force to get it up to that high point through the swing, and now that upper body is going to take over. Pull that thing up, drive hard through the elbow, palm facing down. Get it to about, around your head, noggin area. We don't want to flail it backwards and, externally rotate our arm. Don't over pull it, so use your wits, use that weight, feel it out. As we get that pull, when it gets to that highest point, you're going to start feeling gravity take over. So that's when you're going to push it back almost. So push that kettlebell back back away from you, catch it in that swing. When it's on the farthest point back on that swing, we're gonna shuffle up our feet. Gravity is no longer in play. Nice light kettlebell. Switch the feet, switch the hands, go for it again. So it's almost like a pendulum, finding that timing, finding that rhythm, going about it. So big in the hips, big in the core, big glutes, big traps, biceps, conditioning here in the upper back. It's a fun one. You'll get that heart rate up and you still feel it in your whole body. So it's an alternating V-stance swing high pull. We got a core movement here for us. So it is a full kneeling hip to halo. So a lot of traditional core movements maybe can focus on flexion, right? So other functions of the core is to stabilize as opposed to just the show muscles, the beach muscles, flexing our hips, flexing our spine upwards. So this one right here is going to have a rotational aspect to it, going down to our hips, and then a stabilizing aspect as we have that load move around our upper body. So if we grab our kettlebell by the horns, full kneeling being on both knees, squeeze our glutes, rocking our hips forward, trying to be as vertical as we can, nice neutral spine like a pillar. And as we rotate, we're gonna get a little bit of thoracic mobility, right? Rotation going down there to the hip, and then we're gonna explode upwards. So use that cross-sectional strength of the obliques. You're almost making like a ribbon. So if you can picture like the breast cancer awareness ribbon, that's the movement that we're going for. So hip around the head, down to the other hip. So as we lift that kettlebell up overhead, what we're looking for here is our ribs to flare out. So we are gonna extend our shoulders. So if you are lacking that mobility, you might find that inclination to compromise another spot or find that mobility from another joint. Trying our best to keep our ribs down, trying our best to stretch out our lats, get that kettlebell up overhead, fight the rotation, still trying to stay strong like a pillar, rotate back down to that hip, and just alternate in between sides. It's really great. You're gonna get some bicep activation, good stretch of the lats, good stretch of our shoulders, and a lot in our core. So it's a full kneeling, hip to halo. Push-up variation here, just incorporating more of our body. So if we're doing our push-up, shoulder width apart, squeezing the glutes, straight line from the heels up to the head. Let's unscrew our pickle jars. So what I mean by that is if we're doing our push-up, maybe our elbows flare out to the sides. Maybe we might feel a little bit of impingement here in our shoulders. So a good way to combat that is picture your hands unscrewing a pickle jar, peanut butter jar, twist, internally rotate. That's going to engage our lats, pack our shoulders down, just create a nice strong foundation for our pressing. Do that push-up. Cross-body tuck would be just a mountain climber or driving a knee to an opposite elbow. So we're getting a little bit of lumbar rotation, a little bit of hip mobility as we go across, a lot in our lower core, activating, driving those hips forward, driving those knees forward, just going about it. So we're alternating, gotta press, gotta tuck, gotta press, gotta tuck. You can do this for time, you can do this in Tabata, alternate this with maybe a rowing movement. Great movement, get the heart rate up, do a little bit more with your push-ups. This is a push-up with an alternating knee tuck.